This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put the South at the center. I am Dhanya Rajendran, your weekly host, and joining me is my co-host and the reporting head of the News Minute, Pooja Prasanna.
Hello.
So, today before we go to the headlines, two reminders. One is that, as usual, South Central is a podcast that drops every Friday. We're available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. So follow us there, share our work, because, in a world where we are so ruled by the algorithms of the social media giants, people have so much content that they have to scroll through that sometimes they just don't land on these videos, but they will do if you share, like, etc. So do that. And the second thing, do not forget to take a subscription. We keep telling this to people and they ask us why. One, of course, is because you want to support independent media. But the second is because you get access to all our content behind a paywall. And in the next 5 to 6 days, we are publishing at least 4 investigations, stories that I'm really proud of. One will be published by the time this episode goes on air, which is on the Isha Foundation. Many of you may remember how the Isha Foundation built a yoga center in Coimbatore and there was litigation against them. Isha got relief from Madras High Court in 2022. But now, 4 years after they got relief, we have dug out documents which show how the Environment Ministry, the Union Ministry, actually helped Isha in getting this relief. There is another investigation coming up. It's a series on Bollywood and what is the influence of Hindutva, of the Sangh, and how that influence has been growing and how one man has played a pivotal role in that. Then there is another investigation, again to do with the Sangh. So a lot of stories coming up. Some of these will be behind a paywall. So do pay up, do read those stories, and do share. Now to the headlines.
If you already are a subscriber, then you can contribute to South Central, any amount of your choice, because Dhanya doesn't seem to want to promote South Central Fund.
Yeah, I forgot. Okay.
So here's a QR code. If you like the work we do, then you can contribute so we can get more guests from different places and cameras, spruce up our studio, do more interesting things. So here's your chance. Let's start with what's happening in Wayanad. Warnings ignored, how a man-made debris pile turned deadly at a Wayanad tunnel site. The Kerala government has placed the blame squarely on the contractor, a Bhopal-based Dilip Buildcon Limited, alleging that the company had ignored district administration orders to clear the accumulated debris from the site. Binu is there reporting from there.
Yes, we've got several ground reports from Wayanad. Binu, our colleague, is there. Just to make a point here, the tunnel itself has been very controversial. Environmentalists have been saying that this tunnel should not be built in a place like Wayanad because it will create landslides. Now, even before the tunnel has come into existence, the problem was created by the debris which had piled up. The government is blaming the contractor. The contractor is saying, no, there was a landslide above the pile. So when that mud came rushing down, it also impacted the debris. Whatever it is, around 5 to 6 people have lost their lives. I think one dead body has been pulled up just an hour ago and 4 more people are missing. And we are going to see repeats of this because they do not have a solution as to what to do with that debris.
Yeah, we will discuss this in a little more detail a little later, but I'm sure all of you have seen that very disturbing video of the landslide itself, but we can't wake up to these things only when something dramatic like this happens. Another topic we will be discussing is the Kerala Adani Port row. CM says LDF was aware of deal, opposition calls it misleading. Chief Minister V.D. Satishan said that a decision on approval will be taken after an empowered committee reviews the details of the agreement. Let's move on to Karnataka. Capgemini blames daycare center for abuse of toddlers, files complaint. More than a week after allegations of child abuse surfaced at a daycare center operating on its Bengaluru campus, Capgemini has filed a complaint with the HAL police.
So much has happened. So Capgemini basically contracted this daycare center to a company called Little Scholars. Not a company, it's another daycare center. Little Scholars is being blamed by Capgemini. I'm asking, what was Capgemini's role here? Why did they not ensure that, that this place was being run well? And of course, the police have arrested the woman who was a whistleblower, saying that she was not exactly a whistleblower. She herself was a perpetrator of violence. But because she was upset at her co-perpetrators, she took their videos and shared it with someone.
Yeah. Karnataka Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar denies interference in SIR, blames BJP and JDS. A delegation of NDA leaders had submitted a formal complaint to the Chief Electoral Officer, V. Anbukumar, alleging mass irregularities in the SIR process. Like we've said, this is something very interesting happening in Karnataka, where the BJP and JDS, the NDA allies, are demanding that SIR be scrapped and be started from the beginning. And the Congress is pushing for it.
Yeah, because they are saying mass enumeration is happening within mosques. And basically they are saying for Muslims, you are doing things, making them coming to mosque and wedding halls, etc., community halls, etc. We spoke to the Congress. We have published that in our weekly newsletter, Power Trip, which comes every Tuesday. Another incentive for people to take subscription, because this is a subscriber-based newsletter. In that, we have said that the Congress actually wants the BJP to continue complaining, because at the end of it, they will say, okay, then scrap SIR, because that's exactly what we have been saying.
You're not supposed to give it away.
That's okay. The newsletter is already out. For next week's newsletter, subscribe.
Let's move on to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu challenges Madras High Court ruling striking down reservation for Hindu converts to Islam. The Tamil Nadu government has challenged in the Supreme Court a Madras High Court judgment that struck down its 2024 order allowing eligible Hindu converts to Islam to claim reservation under the backward class Muslim category. This was a video that went quite viral. Minister Kirtana under fire for remarks on schoolgirls' English before classmates. A school inspection by Industries Minister S. Kirtana has snowballed into a political controversy after a viral video showed her questioning a student in English and remarking that the child was unable to answer even a simple question in front of everyone. And the question that she kept asking was also so insensitive. What is your father's profession?
No, she asked, what is your father?
What is your father?
What is your father?
What is your father? My father is my father.
No, I mean,
the difference was even ridiculous. I went to government school, so that gives you the right to humiliate other people.
No, I think these people should first stop doing foolish stuff like this and insensitive stuff. When they're caught at it, just say, okay, I apologize, I won't do it again. Instead of going on this, this rant and so-called justification, which doesn't justify anything.
And there are other people who take offense. Not everything is a political conspiracy.
No, I think this whole Vijay government has to realize that when Vijay was a film actor, his fandom ran on people doing videos and reels and whatever, shorts, everything. Yeah. Then when he started the political party, they ran it like that. When you are in government, bro, you cannot be taking reels and shorts and just putting it all over. That's not how you run governments.
Yeah. Let's move on to Andhra. NIA conducts searches in Telangana and Andhra in terror radicalization probe. The NIA searched 20 locations across 10 states, including Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, in its probe into alleged online radicalization network linked to ISIS and AQIS. Shrishti Fertility Center scam. Andhra government reinstates 3 doctors involved in the case. The 3 doctors were among the 25 people arrested in a large-scale baby trafficking and extortion racket allegedly masterminded by prime accused Dr. Namrata's chain of Universal Shrishti Fertility Centers.
I saw that something similar has happened in Uttar Pradesh or one of the northern states, where again somebody else's baby is given to them saying that this is your surrogate child. So I think this is a scam which is happening all across, and people started realizing, because I think the skin color is different, so they are they suspect, and then they go for a DNA test.
YouTuber Raavan's name meant to insult Hindu sentiments. This is what the Andhra police has said in a remand report. YouTuber Raavan's official name changed from Joseph to that of a figure, and I'm using air quotes for those who are listening, to a figure considered embodiment of evil in Hindu belief shows malicious motivation, is what the police has said the magisterial court. Again, we'll discuss this in detail.
Yeah, this YouTuber has been arrested 5 times till now, and we are going to discuss in detail, not just about Raavan, but about the clampdown on freedom of speech.
And just the statement itself is so ridiculous, apparently embodiment of evil. Let's look at a couple of headlines from Telangana. Only 70% of Telangana's higher secondary teachers are professionally qualified, says UDISE report. The report reveals that Telangana falls well behind states such as Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra in teacher qualifications at higher classes, while also reporting low retention of students. Telangana's Cure Bill seeks to reshape governance in Hyderabad. The proposed legislation is designed to create an integrated governance model for Hyderabad's core urban region while promoting sustainable urban development, improving public services, strengthening climate resilience, and making civic administration more efficient.
But I was reading in the Times of India today that the fines which the Cure Bill actually proposes is quite high for not complying with things. And they were asking the question whether that's even feasible to be implemented.
But I mean, from what we've figured, moving things out of Hyderabad, that part seems to be a good thing. The problem with high penalties also, it encourages more corruption. You want to escape the higher amount, so you give one part of it like people do. That's it for this week for the headlines.
And don't forget, we are going to read letters next week. So write to us at southcentral@thenewsminute.com. And I promise we will read at least a few letters. So do write to us. And now we go to the first topic of the day. How many times can the police arrest one person? In Andhra Pradesh, the answer seems to be as many as it takes. YouTuber Prasanna Raavan, his original name is Joseph, has been arrested 5 times. Every time he got bail, he would be arrested again. Now, 4 times after this repeated, the 5th time they finally slapped UAPA charges against him, so he cannot get bail easily. UAPA has been the latest escalation, and it has raised serious questions about how the criminal justice system is being used not to investigate crime, but to punish criticism. Now, this isn't just about one YouTuber. It isn't just about one state, the Andhra Pradesh. It's about what happens when governments discover that endless FIRs, serial arrests, and the process itself can become the punishment. So is this law enforcement or is it an assault on freedom of expression? That's what we're going to discuss on South Central. And joining us from Hyderabad is our friend, colleague, and senior journalist, Vanaja. Thank you, Vanaja, for joining us here.
Hi, thank you, Dhanya.
Also joining us from Mumbai at this point of time, though he is from Hyderabad, is Professor Murali Karnam. He's a professor of human rights and the director to the Access to Justice program at the NALSAR University of Law in Hyderabad. Thank you, Professor, for joining us.
Thank you.
Pooja, you have anything to say about the arrest, or shall I just jump to Vanaja?
No, one thing that comes to my mind every time somehow in the last 10 years, we seem to think, any curtailing on free speech is associated only with Modi. And we've said this time and again, there are mini Modis in that sense sitting in each state government. Tamil Nadu did it. Andhra has been doing it repeatedly. Earlier, Telangana government did, the present Telangana. We'll get into more details. But this is a very worrying trajectory. Anybody who comes to power gets drunk on power and cannot distinguish between threats, speech that can result in possible violence or just political dissent.
Vanaja, your first thoughts. I know that you are also under attack a lot now in the last couple of days because there are only very few journalists in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh who have spoken up against the arrest per se, you being one of them. So what are your thoughts? I mean, initially when Ravana was arrested, everyone thought that it would stop with one arrest. But then we saw how it kept continuing, right?
Okay, yeah, when he was arrested, it was, even the first arrest was a shock to us, because yes, his language was abusive. But it's not, debatable. He's been using that language. He's also a friend of us, right? I would like to say that. And we've been telling, no, Ravana, you shouldn't talk like that. When you say things, you should be saying in a better manner and all. But, he has chosen it. And you cannot blame Ravan for that because for the last 10 years, both the Telugu states have become like that. The political culture is like that. Almost every politician uses the same abusive language. If you look at what Ravan said and if you look at what Pawan Kalyan said, he exactly replicated it. He even said that I learned this from my favorite actor, Pawan Kalyan. That's what he's been saying. So he repeated the same things. If Pawan Kalyan is not wrong by using those words, how can Ravan be, punished? That was our initial question. You know what? When they arrested, see all those arrests, that is a problem with the trolls also, because those cases do not have much, impact because they can get station bail. Instead of giving Ravan station bail, they took him to the court. not once. They went on hoisting cases on him. After 4 cases, when they realized that, because the lawyer is also really strong, he was ex-judge, the Jada Shravan Kumar. So he might have, because when you go to a smaller court, ex-judge and judge turned lawyer, he can actually argue well. So when they understood that they cannot remand him with those cases, they jumped to UAPA. That is, it's completely shocking to everyone, shocking to us also. How can you put UAPA on people like that? If there is if you want to hoist cases like UAPA on for social media abuse, how many trolls should be in the jail? We personally, I am one of the persons being trolled so heavily in Hyderabad. Like me, there are a couple more. We went to police so many times. We even asked them, just call them and counsel. You don't even need to file a case, just call them and counsel. But they never did that. But when it comes to the power, when somebody uses the same language against the people in the power, it goes to UAPA. That is complete, unacceptable thing.
Yeah, Dhanya, yesterday we were talking about how this is a violation of the Agnesh Kumar guidelines repeatedly. In your opinion, and Professor can come into, what purpose do the arrests serve?
I think the arrests serve only one purpose, that is chilling effect. Yeah. It is to just tell people that you cannot continue doing this because this is the outcome where you'll be arrested again and again. We have seen this in Zubair's case. When Zubair was arrested after one FIR in Uttar Pradesh, there were multiple FIRs then which suddenly popped up, either new ones or old ones, and they kept prolonging his arrest when finally the Supreme Court said it cannot be done. Now, there is a difference in Ravana's case from Zubair's. In Zubair's, it was for the same set of tweets that there were multiple FIRs. In Ravana's case, they found different speeches in which he has said what is deemed objectionable and filed multiple cases. Professor Murali, one thing that the Janasena supporters are saying is that Ravana has insulted Hinduism. Ravana has insulted Hindu gods. Ravana has used abusive language. If he did use abusive language, let's say they can use 299 of BNS against him, they still don't have to arrest him, right? What are your thoughts on this constant, pushback saying that, okay, he used abusive language, he insulted gods and religion, therefore he should be jailed?
You see, I want to give more credit than what Janasena supporters are giving or other social media people are giving to Prasanna Raavan. That is, if you carefully watch the video, he raised very, very important political questions. The first, he really challenged Chief Minister as well as Deputy Chief Minister on series of discriminatory practices against Dalits, about which Pawan Kalyan as well as Chief Minister maintained absolute silence. This is not anybody's personal question. This is a public question. While deterioration of culture of public debate in a civilized language is across the board, targeting one person is actually a red herring. This is actually completely misleading the entire debate, because you should see the kind of questions he asked. He actually went on parading how many kinds of discriminatory practices and attacks on children happened, but Deputy Chief Minister in a stone constituency did not respond. 1. 2, he also politically challenged. You have your power, therefore you are justifying and you are using a language of universalism, and you are ignoring specific injustices done to the Dalits. Therefore, we will also get our time. He challenged that in 2029 we might come to power. I think this has something to do with perhaps being a supporter of the opposition political party, but it is within his remit. Anybody can challenge democratically that you have not done anything what needs to be done when there is a discrimination and atrocities against Dalits. We will come to power and we will also show what needs to be done. See, this is, and also he articulated these things in clear and very, very challenging language, which is really a threatening, threatening in the sense politically threatening, which is very much part of democratic politics. They are using one abusive word that he used. And actually, if you see all other videos and this particular video where he spoke, he seemed to have prepared himself extremely well. He was extremely conscious in using the language, except for that slip of the tongue. Okay? So, now the point is that he will definitely get a political credit and he can rally a large number of people behind him, which is seen as a serious problem by the political establishment. So that is where this whole thing is coming up.
I have two things to say in response to Murali. One, Raavan is not, criticizing only this government. He was criticizing the earlier government also when that government was in power. So he's always criticizing the government. He's always talking truth to the power. He's not targeting Pawan Kalyan. Maybe this time, yes, because, Raavan was a fan of Pawan Kalyan, like many of us, including me. We all thought this guy has something. He will do something. He has some naivety towards, society and all. In the beginning, a lot of people thought like that. But, after what he did after he joined politics, watching what all he did, a lot of people were heartbroken. Raavan was one of them. That is first thing. And so then might be he is continuously talking about Pawan Kalyan. That is there. But he did not talk about only this government. He also spoke about the earlier government. That is one thing. The other thing is his name. People are saying he's Joseph. Why should he's calling himself Raavan? Actually, Raavan is born into a converted Christian family. It's like now they're claiming Kamma. Of course, it is Kamma family, one of those upper caste families. But when he's grown up in his 20s, when he thought, no, I do not want to be a Christian, so he denounced not only Christianity, name also. He went to the Gazette and changed his name officially. Raavan is his official name now. It's not his pen name or screen name. It is his official name. Even his daughter's, certificate also, it's Raavan only. It's not, because when he's going to have a child, he thought, okay, I should not carry this name. I should not carry this religion to my child. So he changed it. I know that, but people are saying you should call him Joseph. Why? He denounced his name, denounced his religion. Raavan is his original name right now.
No, on the point you were making of the name, we were just reading in the headlines earlier that the Andhra police has told the court that he's used the name Ravana deliberately because to insult Hindus, because Ravana is the embodiment of evil. Now that itself is so ridiculous because there are of course arguments and scholars who say that Ravana had a lot of great virtues, but to actually pick on that and call him anti-Hindu just based on that is
And the police
so
had
ridiculous.
nothing else to say in the remand report.
And
Except
also
this.
Ghar Vapsi, right? All these right-wing people want to talk about Ghar Vapsi. He's done Ghar Vapsi voluntarily and they have a problem with him now.
Voluntarily.
Yeah. No, I want to actually pick up two of these FIRs against Raavan, which I thought were really problematic. One is the child, the one where he spoke to the children from Pitapuram on caste ostracization by one of their teachers. So it's a video where he interviews a lot of children who speak up about what their teacher did to them. So the case has been filed by a Janasena leader saying that Raavan used these children for political propaganda and that it's misuse of children. The second is the UAPA itself. Now, what did Raavan say in his speech, which the the Andhra police thought was good enough to actually invoke UAPA? The Gannavaram police booked Raavan under Section 13 and Section 39, which is relating support given to a terrorist organization under UAPA. This is relating to November 25th video. It was a week after Madhvi Hidma, a Maoist leader, was killed in extrajudicial killing. Raavan posted a video titled End of Maoism, and he said, as long as a system exists in which humans exploit one another, the struggles will continue. Many Hidmas, Keshava Raus, Ragos and Midkos under various names will keep emerging. So this, the police is saying, is support to a terrorist organization and they've booked him. Now, the police must very well be aware of the Bombay High Court's judgment in March 2024 in the GN Sai Baba case, where the court clearly said that first, downloading of any Naxal literature or communist literature by itself does not mean anything. It also said that sympathizing with these ideologies also do not constitute an offense under the UAPA. Despite multiple judgments like this being there, the police continue to use this. And really, the most ironical part is that a few weeks ago, I was watching an interview of Mr. Pawan Kalyan in English, where he speaks to ANI on Smita Prakash's podcast. And he talks about how, as a young person, he wanted to become a Naxalite. And then he goes on about why he stepped back from that. His brother Chiranjeevi has spoken about spiritualism and how he dissuaded Pawan Kalyan. But the way Pawan Kalyan has always spoken about Naxalism, there's even a movie in which he has glorified Naxalism. Then would UAPA be usable against him too?
Yeah, can I add to the Pawan Kalyan and Naxalism? He did not only say that, when he was he was in teens, he wanted to join Naxalism. Much later also, he always talked about Naxalism, even after Operation Kagar has started. If you want, I can send you that video clip. Even after that, what he said was, these Operation Kagas will not stop Naxalism because there is an issue, there is anger. Unless you address that, unless the democracy is corrected, that's what he said. Those are his words. Unless you take a corrective course in democracy, this won't change. He's supporting it, right? So how can you, put that case on Raavan for saying the same thing? It's the same thing in essence.
Professor Murali, all of us have spoken a lot about the misuse of UAPA, but do you think it's more ironical when it is used by the Andhra police under a government where Pawan Kalyan is Deputy Chief Minister?
Now, before I come to that point, I have to say one or two things. One, what people can say in public forum and who will make them accountable for what they say is a very huge question. And about that, there is no system. We can't even ask that question. It's not possible because we have this new thing called social media. But when police say what they have said in the FIR, they don't even believe that they will stand by it. They can say anything and invoke EAP. My concern is criminal justice system is a public institution. The power that the government has is a public power. We gave it to them. They should stand by what they say. They know that they will not win this case. Meanwhile, they will definitely ensure that this man will be there for 180 days. Minimum. That is the purpose of invoking this. Whether they are saying truth or whether this man is saying the truth, that is all irrelevant questions because in so many years of EAPA after 1967, I don't know whether you guys know about 1967 when it was introduced. A committee of High Court and Supreme Court judges sent a letter to Parliament saying that this law is a fraud on the Constitution. The first officer of India, that is Attorney General, said this is actually destroying Indian Constitution. That is how it all began. My point is, this power that they have taken it with a very, very limited as an exception. Now, my concern is this. The brazenness with which they are invoking, because they know it very well. They will not win the case because under EAPA, it is 2.2% is the conviction rate. They will definitely ensure 5-6 years of imprisonment for this man. So therefore, what they have said it in their FIR is completely irrelevant. They are not, only when they are made accountable for foisting this kind of cases, so we'll have some assurance in future they will not misuse. As long as that is not happening, then they can do it. Now, they invoked EAPA as an afterthought about that Hidma video. Law is very clear, especially the judicial interpretation. In the name of reasonable restrictions on speech, what Supreme Court said is, you are free to use any kind of incendiary language. It will become problem only when there is a direct and proximate connection with the immediate violence. Now, anybody can ask this question to the Andhra police, whether what he said, did it immediately resulted in a direct and proximate reason for violence? If it is not there, why are you invoking it? So nobody believes that they are going to really punish him as per law. Making a process itself is a punishment is what we are witnessing across the country, in Delhi and everywhere. And I think their partners in power, they are also trying to extend that culture of impunity even in Andhra Pradesh. So therefore, they also don't believe that there is any legitimacy.
2 points that come to mind just last week when we were researching for, let me explain, Raja Singh. Raja Singh is somebody in the neighboring state everybody knows for the kind of vile, language that he uses. And he has spent only 77 days in jail for one case. That too, it was a public disturbance case. It wasn't necessarily for the speech. He led the mob, that was the allegation. Later, he was acquitted in all of it. And in one particular case, the magistrate said that if the comments that he's made on Prophet Muhammad was based on facts, which his defense used in a particular case, then what he said cannot be categorized as hate speech. Now, if you apply the same standards, if what Ravana is saying is based on facts, it will not constitute to hate speech much, far away from it being considered for UAPA. Yesterday, Anjana, our colleague, sent us a column from Balagopal, the human rights activist. And in that, something striking I read was that yellow journalism reflects yellow society. So if he's using foul language, if that is what is, rankling all these people, it is reflecting, because he does have popularity, like both of you pointed out, it is reflecting society and the political class who also use far worse language in some cases. Second thing, bad speech cannot be illegal speech. You may disagree with how he delivers something. You may not like the content of what he says. That does not automatically constitute illegal speech. I think our people in governance will do well to remember this.
I just want to add one more thing before I turn this discussion into one more segment I want to look at. First thing is when Professor Murali was talking about how the judicial interpretation has been clear that there must be some impact or leading to violence when someone makes a comment, right? The same applies to Pawan Kalyan. He can say, I wanted to be a Naxal, but as long as that did not lead to a law and order situation, he is well within his rights to have fancied to become a Naxal,
but
right?
I wonder if his statement saying I wanted to pick up arms, how they would look at it.
No, even then it has not led to any violence, right? So it doesn't matter. So Pawan Kalyan also should not be booked. The same applies for Raavan. I want to point out the hypocrisy of the police force itself. The story which we did on Raja Singh, we'll have a longer text version. It's about how there were 125 or 26 cases against him in the past 10 years, mostly for hate speech. And he gets convicted only in one minor case. He has been acquitted in every other case, which is 125 cases almost. And some of it had direct impact on the ground. It led to law and order situation. In some cases, he himself allegedly led mobs against mosques and other places. Despite all this, when the police went to court, they would either not have the original footage, they would not attach Indian Evidence Act certificates to this footage, and the cases would fall apart. So even in cases where there was a direct consequence, they never proved it. But they want to burden the system by putting some 5 cases against somebody like Raavan, who they know will not go forward. Even a magistrate has given him bail. He has been given bail in 4 cases because the case will not stand at all, right? Anyways, I want to just turn to another point, Vanaja. We spoke about all this. Now, as a person who looks at South India as a whole, in the last few years, what I've noticed is that all governments are competing with each other in jailing people who criticize them. Sometimes it's the courts which are actually coming forward with suo motu, contempt and all that. In Tamil Nadu, we have seen a combination of both this when Savakka Shankar was jailed multiple times, either at the court's behest or by the government itself. At that time, all the DMK supporters were, cheering the arrest of Savakka Shankar. Now, the same people rightfully are condemning the TVK government for filing cases against Anita Radhakrishnan, this Gen Z coordinator called Anbanandan of the DMK.
Maridas too.
Maridas. So all these cases should not have been filed. We see the same in Telangana. Somebody like Teenmar Mallanna, who later went to the BJP, how many cases were filed against him and he was kept in jail for a long time. But what I'm seeing also is a deterioration amongst the political followers, right? And I think it's become even more dangerous when the political leaders are also cult leaders like Vijay and Pawan Kalyan. I'm not saying it's less for the others, but for me personally, it's been concerning that they do not want to be discerning at all. They're actually becoming cheerleaders saying, do more, arrest more people.
Exactly. Pawan Kalyan hasn't spoken about this. He only held one press conference, saying in very composed manner, which is very rare of Pawan Kalyan, what is free speech, what is not, how you cannot tolerate these things. But, very interestingly, there are a lot of creative people in the social media. For every word he said, there is there is something he said against it. People cut those reels also. So Pawan Kalyan actually cheerleading them. He's not talking at all. Even now. Number two, what happened to the image of Pawan Kalyan? His image is, he is always standing with the weaker people. Now, just because he's in power, he's punishing a weaker person. See, one deputy CM is after one small YouTuber. How does it look like? It's like Pawan is abusing power, which is very clearly shown. Just because there are 100 or 200, trolls with 10 browsers each, I know, of course, they're creating havoc. In the entire social media, they're posting things which are fake, which are unreal, which are, very, very horrible videos, even about me also. Whoever supports Raavan, I think they're going to do that with you also. From tomorrow onwards, they're going to post on you also, Dhanya also.
It's almost like you're directing them our way.
I know, but once they see it, they will do. But they will do it because they need work. Now they're like, with adrenaline rush, those trolls, they are sitting there and typing and creating videos and posting, putting the conversation forward, all that they are doing. This is actually damaging Pawan Kalyan's image. That I think he is not realizing.
No, I think as someone who's interacted with Pawan Kalyan quite a few times, the fans have been quite easy on me, but I don't know how much longer that will sustain. And thanks to Vanaja for instigating them. But I just want to add that there is a political point also here, Vanaja, that Pawan Kalyan should realize that while Nara Lokesh is in Korea getting investors, while Chandrababu Naidu is talking about governance, Pawan Kalyan is being projected as this angry person who's filing cases against, first is Professor Nageshwar, then comes Raavan, now tomorrow it'll be somebody else. And there's this whole fight going on social media where his followers are also now degrading and insulting the mother of a Dalit rape victim who Pawan Kalyan had supported heavily when he was not in power. That mother has gone and filed a police complaint saying that he used me for political purpose and now he is not giving justice to my daughter who died. Now, that is a mother's anguish. Perhaps, yes, she's been egged on by the YSRCP, whatever it is. In the last 2 days, Pawan Kalyan followers are continuously insulting this mother, saying that, oh, you got so much of advantage. You're being cruel to our leader, right? So I think it's time for Pawan Kalyan to realize what this is doing to his image. And this is something that he should be very careful about, especially the UAPA case. I think he must go read it and he must think, do I want police to go on filing cases against anybody who says, yes, there will be Naxalism if there is injustice?
Where people can say something or the other, that is a cultural religious domain, which is much larger. I don't care what is the opinion of Pawan Kalyan on religion, but I want to know what is his understanding about the criminal justice system, because it directly affects me, every citizen. The problem is when political popularity is harvested in cultural domain, you will automatically convert that cultural domain also into legal domain. See, in cultural domain, anybody can ask any question, nobody will answer. No need to answer, it's impossible to answer. Do you believe in Shiva? I don't care that question because I don't want to answer. But if I want to say that whether you can arrest somebody and keep in police station within 24 hours, you have to release him or not, it's a public question. What are we talking? Therefore, we need to be very clear. Cultural questions, religious questions are so huge. If somebody is a bad person culturally, I'm not going to reform him. It's not my business. That politics had disappeared 200 years back. During French Revolution, people were elected to Constituent Assembly because of their good character. I don't care whether Pawan Kalyan is a good character or bad character. It's none of my business. My business is, does he have faith in the Indian Constitution? Does he respect human dignity? Does he respect criminal justice system? Is a law-abiding citizen? See, law always tries to be very, very concrete, because if you allow some kind of vagueness, they can use it against anybody and any time. This is very dangerous. Religion gives that kind of opportunity, but law cannot give. Law should always be within the limited domain, because it has a lot of implications on our lives. What is happening is, in the age of social media, everybody has opinion about culture, politics, and whether he is supporting some woman or not. I mean, the most illiterate person can also say some political opinion about Pawan Kalyan or about Raavan also. That is almost impossible to control. No meaningful, accountable discussion can happen in that domain. But what they are trying to do, especially in the past 10, 15 years, is all problems of culture is very conveniently converted into problems of law and order by the people in power. This needs to be understood. So what is happening is this expansion of the domain of politics into the culture is giving say for everybody to say something. Consequently, any question can be, he said something. So for that matter, Raavan asked this question: how many political leaders of ruling party have abused, for instance, the deputy speaker of a present government? He abused Christ in many words, explicit words, and videos are also there that they are saying. Why he was not arrested? He asked this question. Basically, question is, you have power, therefore you are selectively using your power against people. Therefore, I think that is a very, very important question. And see, Raavan must have used a different language, very idiosyncratic language in different videos, so that is not irrelevant for me. But what politically, legally important questions he asked, we should be able to separate them and then say that for that we need to answer. We should ask everybody who is in power, including Chief Minister and every DG and every Advocate General. We should say that, what is your stand on this public issue of public significance? I think otherwise, if we don't separate it, it's very problematic.
I think the problem is that the police and the government sit in judgment of morality. Like you said, what language he uses is not the problem. What he's saying, is it factual or not factual, is the question. Many of us also, I think, in the past have been reluctant to come out publicly in support of people who are, known to be, they're wild, they use foul language, they're extortionists, whatever, other characteristic traits of theirs aside. In this particular case, if the FIR and arrest is required or not, should be what we should focus on.
No, I think we should be clear about that. For example, in Raavan's case, there are lots of these videos, not lots of these videos, one video of him, apparently of him, his wife has said it's a fake video with a woman. Now, yesterday, I think some of the channels put out that there were a lot of private videos in his phone. Perhaps he was blackmailing women. Okay, if he's
But that is not the FIR, right?
I'm saying if he's done all that, then investigate, file an FIR, file a case and investigate him for that, right? Instead to make a mishmash like a...
That's because the public sentiment also goes that way, right? You look at morality of the person, you look at the character of the person, and in some way that determines whether he's guilty or not for a crime that's completely unrelated.
Which is why I started with asking Professor Murali that, look, the supporters are saying, oh, he spoke against Hinduism. He insulted Hindu gods. Because that's the easiest branch to climb on, right? To lead
and the police took leave from that.
Yeah.
Let us suppose that I say that I don't believe in any religion. Does it mean that supporters of all religions will come and pounce on me? What is it? I mean, one doesn't need to respond to that. I mean, what the Constitution uses is the conscience. Freedom of speech, I mean, in right to religion, freedom of religion, the word used is conscience. Conscience means you can believe in religion, you can believe non-religion, you can be irreligious, you can be rationalist, anything. So that is the standard for me. And so just because I don't believe in, it doesn't mean that license is given to all Muslims, Christians, and Hindus come and pounce on us. So we don't need to answer that question upon.
And we are also missing two people from this entire conversation. Dhanya, you mentioned them, but what is the stand of Lokesh and Chandrababu in this entire episode? They haven't spoken about this at all. They're completely silent. I think they're very happy for two reasons. One, just before Raavan happened, the Sai Krishna missing case was, going on. That is one very horrible human rights violation. They picked up a guy and we don't know what they did. We heard that he was killed and burnt and all, right? So now people forgot Sai Krishna case. Now everyone is, concentrating on Raavan. That is one benefit. The other benefit is they are definitely not very comfortable with Pawan Kalyan since Tirupati Laddu issue. Then also he has stolen the entire show. They were not very happy with that. Now, because this whole thing is happening, as Dhanya said, now people are looking at them as, Chandrababu and Lokesh are working for the state and Pawan Kalyan is, taking on social media influencers or YouTubers. That's all he's doing. Nothing else he's doing. Whatever anybody asks him, he says, it's not my thing. I will tell Lokesh Babu. It's a home ministry is not us. He always tells that. He himself portrays as very weak actually. Every time anyone asks him, home ministry is not ours. I will tell Lokesh Babu. What does it mean? He's a deputy CM, right? So now he's only strong with the people who criticizes him, not with the governance. That is one message going out. So I think Chandrababu and Lokesh must be very, very happy with the whole thing for two reasons. One, people will not talk about Sai Krishna. Two, okay, Pawan Kalyan won't be, competition for Lokesh later.
No, I think we will continue to talk about Sai Krishna. We had a very long ground report also where our colleague had gone to the crematorium, etc. Please do read that Anjana Meenakshi's report where she went to all those places. And I think it's one of those cases where police brutality normally leaves a dead body behind, but there's no dead body itself in this case. There's nothing that the family can actually say, can close this loop for the family. Yeah.
The last closing points I wanted to make, I think the problem is the society, especially Indian society and world over to now, we worship the strong man image. So every leader, every political leader who comes to power feels the need to protect that strong man image. So any criticism, even mild, even justified criticism, has to be clamped down upon to continue, being looked at. If somebody is criticizing you, you're in power, you don't do anything, well, what sort of a leader are you? That somehow become acceptable. You may be still okay, well within your right filing an FIR, but does that require an arrest? I think that is a legal point, legal distinction they need to make.
Okay, so thank you for joining us, Vanaja and Professor Murali. And we will continue to keep the spotlight on what's happening in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Thank you very much. Okay, so from Andhra Pradesh, we move to Kerala, and I want to just look at two different things happening simultaneously in the state. First, of course, the landslide or the landslip in Wayanad, in which by now around 6 to 7 people have lost their lives. This was when there was a landslide near the tunnel project, the Wayanad tunnel project. That's the first thing I want to look at. And the second is the Vizhinjam project. There is a huge controversy because the government of Kerala is saying that Adani Group has made an agreement with a Swiss company, MSC Group, without informing the Kerala government and has decided to sell its 49% stake. So is that really possible? Can Adani do something like that? And is Kerala Chief Minister V.D. Satishan's response is merely political? Like he's continuously saying the LDF knew it, but what about you? What are you going to do about it? So I want to discuss both these. And joining us from Thiruvananthapuram is Jisha Surya. Jisha, Simon, what is it? Second appearance in South Central that do consecutive
Second
weeks.
consecutive, yeah.
In a row, yeah. Thank you.
So the last episode was about Jisha's story on private equity in Kerala's hospitals. We had very, very good feedback on that story. Those who haven't read it, please do. It's on the site. It's about how private equity players are entering Kerala's health sector more and more. Also joining us from Bengaluru, not for any controversial profile that she has done this time, is Indulekha Aravind to speak about the Vizhinjam project. Indulekha, welcome to South Central.
Thanks, Dhanya.
For those unaware, she's the one who did the profile on Sridhar Vembu and also the story about his divorce, for which we still keep getting a lot of love.
And also Nikhil Kamath profile.
Nikhil Kamath, yes. Okay, so to you first, Jisha, you have reported for many years on, I don't want to talk about the tunnel project itself because it's a very different issue, environment, etc. But on rain prediction, you have reported continuously about how despite Kerala seeing heavy rains and floods almost every year now, the rain prediction system is, I don't know what is the word to use, is really not up to the mark. And in this case, the systems did not work on that particular day, right?
Yes, on that particular day, we saw that the IMD issuing a red alert immediately after the tragedy. That was strikingly similar to what happened in Churalmala. Then also the red alert was issued after the incident. So that raises question on the effectiveness of the weather monitoring systems in Kerala, especially considering places like Wayanad, which is very sensitive to the rain, and we have seen extreme rain-related disasters happening there. So this time, I was curious what went wrong this time, and later news reports said that the one particular major radar in Kochi was shut down for maintenance on this day when this incident was happening, and the other one, the X-band radar, which is now proposed for Wayanad, is just it is getting operationally. It would take another 2-3 months to complete it. This was a priority project taken up after the Churalmala incident. So in short, no proper radar system was functioning on that day when there was this heavy rain happening. So this point again, it shows that we have learned nothing from the Churalmala incident. That day also the weather warning was not proper. Again, IMD issued the red alert only after the incident. The same thing happened this time too.
But Jisha, if I remember, I'm looking through a reporting in 2024 and 25, where you spoke about this X-band Doppler weather radar. It was in Kochi first, and then in 2024 and 25, they said it will come up in Wayanad. What happened to that? Did it eventually not come up?
Yeah, the current weather radar is in Kochi. But due to Earth's curvature, it can't really predict the cloud formations in places like the northern districts like Wayanad and Kozhikode. So that's why, especially considering its ecologically sensitive regions, another radar was proposed in Wayanad. And initially, it delayed for a long time due to a proper land, that they didn't get land. And finally, they zeroed in on a land in the campus of Parashi College in Calcutta. And the work is progressing, I understand. And according to IMD, it will be commissioned in 2-3 months.
No, but Jisha, you reported last time that there was a radar coming up in Mangalore and one in Wayanad. This was in 2025 April. So we are more than 1 year after that, and still these radars have not come. And in that interview, the IMD told you that their biggest challenge is identifying a location that has minimal radar beam blockage. And they identified the location, the radars were supposed to come up. And I want to add that this is the same story even when there's a flood in Chennai. We speak about how the weather prediction systems are not very good.
So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole just to figure out what the cost of these radars are. Apparently in India, as of a couple of years ago, they cost somewhere between 10 to 20 crores each radar.
That's one ad which they give in a newspaper, like 15
Exactly.
newspapers together.
And these have they have 3 different types, S-band, C-band and X-band.
And there's also a central government, union government division in this, in the weather
Yeah, and they fight
prediction.
over this
Yeah.
jurisdiction.
So then I think in Chennai there was a fight over, but you guys were supposed to study this, not us. That also happens.
Correct. And the range is between 2 to 500 kilometers.
Anyway, it's, what is that Hindi saying? Sab rab mein, rab say, like, we just have to be dependent on God. If you believe in God, that is, not like our last segment where we talked about those who do not believe in God. Okay, Indu, I'll bring you in now. The whole Vizhinjam controversy. Explain to us what has happened till now and the Kerala government stand.
So the Vizhinjam Port, as you all know, is done. It's in operation with Adani Ports SEZ, and it's been more than a year since it's been operational. And the current controversy broke when the news came that Adani has they've entered into a binding agreement with the Mediterranean shipping company MSC, which is one of the world's, if not the largest shipping companies in the world, to sell a 49% stake to them for $1.3 billion. So this was an Adani press release. It was also informed to the stock exchanges because that's part of the mandatory requirements because it's a listed company. Now, once this news came, all hell broke loose in a way because so there is a clause in the agreement which says that the concessionaire, which is Adani in this case, cannot divest more than 25% stake without prior approval of the state government. Now this prior approval, which is the clause number is 5.3, that's the one that's created all this controversy because the Kerala government and the opposition, they're saying that the government's permission was not taken before this agreement was entered into. Now, Adani has responded, they've given interviews to a couple of publications where they've said that so obviously when there is, a large stake sale of this kind, there are multiple permissions involved. I'm not just talking about this deal, but you have to take the Competition Commission of India's, their approval has to be given. Then when there's FDI, the government's approval is needed. So they are saying that, this binding agreement has been reached, but now all other the mandatory approvals will be sought. Whereas Kerala government stance is that is not prior approval. So that's where the issue is now. We've seen, the Kerala Chief Minister say that there was a report in Deshabhimani which came out on June 5th. Deshabhimani is, of course, the Communist Party's mouthpiece in a way, where they've said that this deal is in the work, this 49% stake sale, and that it's going to be, it's credit is due to the left government for this. So his contention is that the CPM knew about this, this talks have been going on for a year, and that he said that their person took over as, the head of the port only much later. But we've also had the leader of the opposition, former chief minister, say that SEBI needs to intervene. They need to check if all the documentation has been, all the disclosures have been made correctly by Adani. And currently, an empowered committee is supposed to, go through these details and take a call and advise the government.
So, Dhanya, just to kind of break it down a little bit more, APSCC, which is the port wing of Adani Group, is a listed company, which is why, like Indu was saying, SEBI has to step in. Now, if any listed company plans to sell part of their share, they have to first notify SEBI. Then there will also be a mandatory media release, right? A press release, right, Indu? That has to be put out in public. They will look at certain regulations. If all of that is complied, only then will they give the go-ahead for the listed company to sell their shares. What Adani Group has kept in the same concession agreement that Indu was talking about, also says that for the first 1 year of operation, you cannot sell. You cannot dilute your shares. Now, this is in the second year of operation, so Adani Group is well within its rights to sell. But the issue is that MSC, which is like you said, one of the largest shipping companies, all container shipping companies, and also they are involved in some other operations. If they get a foothold in this, then it'll be monopoly, which is why the competition authorities of India had to be brought in. SEBI had to be brought in. FDI had to be cleared because it's a Swiss-based company.
Has to be, you mean?
Has to be. We don't know if all of this has happened or not. And also because it's a strategic port. That's what the government has said, the union government has said. The defense government or the defense ministry also had to be intimated that such a thing is happening. The concession agreement also says that there is no commercial implication. If the private company, it's a PPP, right? If the private company wants to sell, they don't have to take approval as far as the commercial aspect is concerned. But on public interest and national interest, they have to intimate.
No, so a couple of things here. One is that, after the Chief Minister of Kerala, V.D. Sadishan, said that Deshabhimani reported it first, he was fact-checked by the former Industries Minister P. Rajiv, who said that June 1st itself, Economic Times and Mathrubhumi reported about this MSC coming in. So everyone was aware that the talks are happening. Why didn't the government ask then about prior approval? So one thing is clear from what the Kerala government is saying, though of course there's a lot of political maneuvering and political blame game happening, that there was no prior approval taken by the Adani Group before going into this agreement, unless the Kerala government now and the previous Kerala government, which the CPM now is lying about it, right? That there was no prior approval. I think we can all file RTIs and ask whether prior approvals was sought. But I believe that if prior approval was sought, Adani would have disclosed it by now, which they haven't. They're also saying that we are going to go for approvals from now.
So one of the three parties is lying, either CPM government.
I think everybody could be saying the truth that there was no prior approval taken. Adani has just gone and
so that makes it
gone into an
illegal,
agreement,
right?
Which is what my next question is. What then happens? Can't the Kerala government take Adani to court?
So technically, if this 5.3 clause, if it's breached, there is grounds. It's breach of provisions of the contract, and various steps can come into play where they can suspend Adani's rights, etc. They can ask for security, but I mean, it may not come to that. So the thing here is that it's fairly standard in these deals involving foreign companies that permissions such as the CCI's approval or approval for FDI, that is sought after the companies have spoken among themselves and have reached an agreement. So that is not something, extraordinary. Now, Adani's stance is that they are equating this prior approval in the clause with these other permissions. They are saying that, that is their grounds. But whether it can be seen on the same level as, seeking CCI nod after a deal has been entered into, I mean, that seems a bit unclear. I mean, and that's Kerala's contention, right? That prior approval means that, we need to have been informed before.
And Jisha, I want to just bring you in because you covered this ship which belongs to MSC, right? My question is about that. This company's track record in Kerala itself is not rosy, and we are not talking about it enough. Jisha?
Yeah, MSC, even now the question being raised is whether MSC's entry would lead to a monopoly. But already 99% of ships arriving at Vizhinjam belongs to MSC. So far, it has handled over 1,005 ships, and most of this are MLC ships. And also, we have seen that their track record in terms of Kerala was not that very good, because we have covered how MSC Elsa ship sank in the sea, and they have literally did nothing. The High Court recently questioned them regarding the handling of the pollution. All the ship carrying hazardous chemicals sank, and it remains under ocean, under the sea since then. And it regarding the handling of pollution or the oil spill or the plastic nurdles, the parent company didn't knew enough to handle this, and the High Court had recently stepped in and questioned this issue. So MSC's track record in that sense is not very good, but it is a leading shipping company, and in William's case, it is the major company that is the port is handling.
I want to add one more thing, that MSC already has a deal with Adani in two other ports, that is in Mundra and in Ennore. They already have an agreement like this with them.
And addressing the concern over the monopoly, the chief minister said that the port has a common user facility, so the issue of monopoly doesn't come in.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think the question is, what if MSC, being the biggest user, if they set rates, if they have, the biggest say in things, how that will play out.
So they'll also own the port and also the company that's using the port the most.
They'll own, Kerala government is the owner of the port. They are in this, the agreement is called design, build, finance, operate and transfer. So there is that, 40-year term, etc., within which there are various clauses in that. So Kerala government is the owner.
Yeah, the question is also being raised on the transfer. When you have the MSC has this kind of a stake in this, what is going to change? How is this agreement with the state and the constitution is going to change? And how it, whether it will affect the transfer part, all this, that part, the government has appointed the chief secretary and they are monitoring that. So the opposition is raising question on whether this old agreement will be in place or will any change happen to that agreement.
I just want to point out the irony this week. One is that from Z5, this movie called Sutlej, which was previously Punjab 95, was taken down, citing national security and law and order. Just a movie taken down, citing national security and law and order. This is a movie which did not get CBFC clearance for 4 years and finally was released on OTT platform. Within 48 hours, on a weekend, Babus in the bureau, in the ministry worked, sent letter and took down this. Now look at this company called MSC. Its ship sank, ELSA 3 sank on May 25th, 2025. Till today, that ship lies at the bottom of the eastern Arabian Sea. It has not been retrieved. There's a report by the Center for Marine Living Resources and Ecology, CMLRE, which said that the oil slicks are still visible, that it has damaged the southeastern Arabian Sea's water quality, plankton, marine plankton, organisms, fish eggs, larvae, etc. So this is a company which has not been held, which has not even paid the price for what they did and has not been responsible enough. The biggest port in Kerala is also now going to them after Mundra and Ennore. So I think those are the questions which the government must ask itself now. 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, if something happens, this company's track record of really acting on something is not good. That's what I just want to keep pointing out. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us here on South Central, Indu and Jisha. We'll go to the recommendations. Pooja.
So there was this essay of George Orwell I'd studied in BA, and I was reminded of that this week and I reread it. It's a small one, some 10, 12 pages. He talks about politics and language. English language is what he's referring to. And the point he makes is how, how complicated, how vague, how specific, how much of jargon you use in a language shapes thinking of a society, and how this is written 1946 and it's true today as well. How governments and those in power deliberately use vague language to get away when they don't keep up their promises. I think language is something we discussed in a previous conversation. Second is a piece I read on The Economist. Somebody sent me a PDF. And this was about what
Pooja.
Indians are reading.
What is this PDF thing?
I don't have.
Huh?
What Indians
Everybody, do not spread PDFs
Okay,
of
one
stories
bad deed
behind
is
paywalls.
allowed. Don't do this for News Minute articles.
Exactly.
This is the only time I've done it. What Indians are reading and what that reveals about the self. Apparently, a lot of Indians are reading self-improvement books, and that's what sells the most in India, and how that shapes our thinking in our society and all of that. Yeah.
I have lots of questions on who exactly is improving. Jisha?
My current read is a Malayalam novel called Maranavamsham by P.V. Shaji Kumar. It's a very complex read. And my suggestion would be Seeing Like a Feminist by Nivedita Men.
See, how do you arrive at the truth? I mean, there are a lot of movies, for instance, maybe a lot of people know about it. 12 Angry Men is one movie I would recommend. It's an old one, but still one should say, we make up our mind about who is guilty, who is not guilty. But if you watch that movie, you will understand that it's not so easy to actually arrive at truth, and maybe actually implicating a very, very innocent man. How a lot of people in public life, because of their own reasons, contribute for implicating people. I think I'll ask people to see this movie, 12 Angry Men. I show it to my law students.
Yeah, there are a lot of books and films I watch and I read, but this time I really want to promote my channel. Please watch Mahua Media. We are trying to put some content which is sensible while people are, right and left abusing each other. We are trying to show some good content like the News Minute. Please watch us, Mahua Media on YouTube.
So I just finished this really amazing book by this journalist called Patrick Radden Keefe. He had written another brilliant book earlier about the opioid crisis and the Sackler family. This one is called London Falling. It's about this 19-year-old boy falls to death from this very fancy building in London, and his family wants to know why. And they discover that so they are from a regular upper middle class family. And they discovered that this 19-year-old son has been posing as the son of a Russian oligarch. So the book is, it's really well reported and written as you'd expect from him. But it also uncovers, how the influence of these Russian oligarchs on London's economy, how London has evolved as a city, this seedy underbelly and crime that's, literally just outside your doorstep. Parenting, how the parents and the failures of the London Metropolitan Police, how disappointing it's been for the pair. They really kind of, I guess they did what they could. But it's really well reported and really well written. Highly recommend.
Okay, before I go to my very small recommendation, before I go to my recommendation this week, two things. One is Karthik, one of our subscribers, had made an Excel sheet where he's put together all the headlines covered by South Central. We are going to have that in our show notes. Producer Akshay Lal, please note, I have the Excel sheet. Put that in the show notes. For anyone interested, please go and check the headlines. Another subscriber, I'm not saying who, actually sent me a PDF of the book which Seema Chishti suggested. The book is 3,000 rupees. So he said, please read the PDF. Thank you.
Other people do this too.
That's not the same. Thank you very much for the gesture. I shall be reading that book. And my recommendation this week is Birth of a Nation by Josie Joseph. I've just started reading it. Hopefully, I'll interview him next week. It's about the 21 days that made India. I've just begun. It seems very interesting. And Josie's books are really interesting. The last two have been. So hopefully this one will follow the same pattern. Anyway, we'll listen to Josie himself next week. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us here on South Central. We have a brand new producer, as I announced last week, Akshay Lal. We are keeping a watch on whether he's cutting interesting reels, etc. Last week, his reel did become a bit controversial considering what he culled out of the PE discussion. Go check that out. Thank you to co-producer Megha Mugundan, our production assistant Ajay, our editor Jasim Ali, Ria and Sukanya Shaji, who do our socials. Thank you very much.